A young man in a wheelchair reveals his secret weapon, a power called cheat deterrence. He explains his unique ability. Anyone he defeats is forced to become his loyal subordinate. Their next target is a grumpy fruit stand owner who immediately shows his disdain for their arrival. The man in the wheelchair, the strategist, and his childhood friend, the brawler, arrive to expand their territory. The two gangs face off at a crucial intersection, a key battle for control of the entire district. The fruit stand owner scoffs at their absurd accusation about his produce causing problems. He arrogantly dismisses the newcomers, telling them to leave before his business gets interrupted. Unfazed by his threats, the woman prepares to handle the situation while her friend watches calmly. With a single powerful move, she sends the owner's entire crew flying through the air. The stunned owner desperately tries to slip past the ensuing chaos, caught completely off guard. In the chaos, a hand swiftly snatches not just the fruit, but the owner's business license. A team of decoys, hired for this very purpose, make a show of running off with the produce. The owner's remaining lackeys are frozen in shock, unable to comprehend the sudden turn of events. He lets out a cry of despair, discovering his entire stall has been completely emptied. Furious at the blatant robbery, the owner commands his men to pursue the fleeing thieves. The brawler calmly hands the strategist the real prize, leaving the fruit stand owner utterly bewildered. With a triumphant smirk, the strategist reveals his true target was the business license all along. The owner's face contorts in disbelief as he understands the true nature of their scheme. The strategist makes a call to the authorities, reporting an unlicensed vendor at the intersection. As the police arrive, he gloats internally, confirming his flawless victory was all part of the plan. Meanwhile, a delivery truck barrels down West Street, its purpose unknown. The driver, Takumi, casually dismisses his partner's concerns about their overloaded truck. His confidence shatters as a police car appears, blocking their path ahead. Panic sets in as they realize they're heading straight for a police checkpoint. Without hesitation, the driver slams the truck into a different gear, preparing for a drastic maneuver. He decides to risk a dangerous turn into a narrow alley, much to his companion's terror. With a reckless grin, he prepares to execute a high-stakes drift to evade the authorities. The massive truck screeches around the corner, barely fitting into the tight alleyway. A bystander in the alley watches in disbelief as the out-of-control truck hurtles towards him. The driver and his passenger can only scream, realizing too late that their escape route is not clear. The strategist's mind shatters as he faces the out-of-control truck bearing down on him. He desperately channels all his strength into his arms, determined to wheel himself out of harm's way. His escape is tragically cut short by a single piece of fruit, a mere 5 centimeters from his wheel. As time seems to slow down, his panic gives way to a moment of profound, floral-scented realization. He poetically equates his final moments to the falling speed of a cherry blossom as the truck looms over him. The alley erupts in a chaotic symphony of crashing metal and flying debris. His consciousness fades with the bitter thought that his disability sealed his fate. In a twist of fate, his data is excavated from reality and imported into a digital metaverse. The transfer is a success, and he awakens, disoriented but alive, in a strange new place. A mysterious woman greets him, casually informing him that his death was exceptionally quick and efficient. He awakens in a panic, demanding to know the identity of the mysterious woman before him. His anger turns to shock as he realizes with disbelief that he can move his legs again. The woman calmly explains that his physical ailments don't exist in this new spiritual form. Impatiently, he dismisses her explanation and aggressively insists on knowing who she is. She scolds him for his rudeness and, with a flick of her finger, begins to deconstruct his hand. He watches in horror as his hand digitizes and vanishes, screaming in pure terror. Revealing her divine power, she introduces herself as the chief editor, a creator god with absolute control. She then delivers the devastating news that he is merely a comic character whose world is now gone. He struggles to comprehend this revelation, as she mocks the very idea of his cheat power existing in reality. His mind shatters as he rages against his anticlimactic end, lamenting his lost ambitions of world domination. The chief editor condescendingly explains his demise as a classic tragedy of the strong. Seeing his ambition, she slyly offers him a chance at rebirth to reach the pinnacle. A spark of hope ignites in his eyes as he questions her power, which she smugly confirms. Eagerly, he lists his conditions for rebirth, a perfectly healthy body with regenerative abilities. The divine being thoughtfully considers his request for regeneration. Overjoyed, he clenches his fists, already envisioning his future conquest and rise to power. Sensing his excitement, She prepares to send him to his new world, her hand glowing with digital power. Suddenly panicked, he tries to make one last request as his body begins to digitize. His desperate protests are cut short as his very form deconstructs into a cascade of blue data. With a final silent scream, his consciousness is violently whisked away in a blinding flash of energy. His consciousness hurtles through a digital sea, accompanied by a final, ominous warning. He awakens at the bottom of a strange ocean, immediately fearing he's about to drown. To his surprise, he can breathe, but a glance down reveals his body is now made of pink tentacles. Curious, he reaches out with a tentacle to touch a large, shimmering water crystal. Using the crystal as a mirror, he sees his new reflection for the very first time. The horrifying truth dawns on him as he stares at his alien, squid-like face. He recoils in terror, realizing the chief editor has reincarnated him as a squid. Furious, he recalls her sly smile and understands she twisted his wish for regeneration into this monstrous form. Resigned, he decides to adapt, struggling to control his unwieldy new limbs. He focuses intently, trying to recall how a real squid moves to master his bizarre new body. He quickly masters basic movement, propelling himself through the water by contracting his body. His practice is interrupted by a school of fish frantically fleeing from an unseen threat. His confusion turns to alarm as he realizes the fish are not just swimming, but escaping. The reason for the chaos becomes terrifyingly clear as a massive whale appears, with a system alert flagging squid as its favorite meal. Panic strikes as he connects the dots. The whale isn't just a threat, it's hunting him. He stares down the massive predator, attempting to reason with the creature that wants to eat him. His strategist's mind kicks in, seeing a sliver of hope for survival through diplomacy. Negotiation fails spectacularly as the whale opens its massive jaws, intent on making him its next meal. As he's helplessly pulled toward the abyss of the whale's mouth, he rages at the chief editor for not giving him any special powers. A system message clarifies his predicament. His full power is locked, leaving him with only the basic abilities of a common squid. Falling back on instinct, he prepares to spray ink in a desperate attempt to escape. The system confirms his ink is useless against the sheer size difference as the whale inhales him. He watches in horror, realizing his second life is about to end as quickly as it began. The whale's mouth snaps shut, plunging him into darkness. After 10 minutes, the satiated whale calmly swims off into the deep. He clings to life inside the beast, his suction cup saving him from being swallowed completely as his ambition reignites. His determination wavers as he feels his strength quickly fading away. Exhaustion takes over, his body shaking uncontrollably as he wonders if this is truly the end. His suction cups finally fail, and he falls helplessly from the stomach wall. He is immediately caught in a powerful digestive current, pulling him into a spiraling abyss. He realizes the current leads to the whale's nostrils, deducing they both lack oxygen. With newfound determination, he resolves to block the whale's airway and see who perishes first. He wedges his body into the passage, successfully obstructing the whale's breathing. The whale's eye widens in panic as it begins to suffocate. In a desperate frenzy, the massive creature breaches the surface, gasping for air. It thrashes wildly in the water, its struggle for life becoming more violent. The squid also feels his consciousness fading, questioning if his gamble will pay off in time. The whale's movements cease as its tail gives one final weak flick. Its eye turns a lifeless pink, signaling the end of its struggle. The colossal beast's body goes still, beginning its slow descent into the abyss. He screams in a mix of terror and relief, having narrowly escaped death. With a final push, he frees himself from the suffocated whale's nostril. He muses that even the mightiest fall to a single weakness, a lesson from his old life. His eyes widen as he witnesses an unbelievable sight. The colossal whale dissolves into a torrent of blue data that surges towards him. He panics as the digital energy is absorbed directly into his own small body. A system message congratulates him for defeating a superior foe, converting it into experience points. Eagerly, he tries to access the rewards from his first victory. The system denies his request, informing him the reward is sealed until he activates it. Undeterred, he immediately resolves to activate the system and unlock his power. The system reveals the condition. He must form a soul contract with the Atlantans to activate his power. He is baffled by the mention of Atlantans and the mysterious double entanglement system. Furious, he accuses the system of deliberately withholding his hard-earned rewards. He swims towards a shallow coral reef, beginning his search for the elusive Atlantans. A notification reveals a basic reward. He's leveled up, and his ink spray skill has a drastically reduced cooldown. Intrigued by the strengthened skill, he decides to put its new power to the test. He releases a cloud of ink, only to find the improved coverage is disappointingly small. Enraged by the lackluster upgrade, he laments the lack of any real special effects. His frustration is cut short as he senses a hidden presence, immediately fearing a new enemy. On high alert, he scans the reef, challenging the unseen observer to reveal itself. From behind a rock, several small pink tentacles cautiously emerge. The hidden observers reveal themselves to be a trio of adorable, small, squid-like creatures. He's taken aback, realizing he's now having a conversation with other squids. The small creatures excitedly praise him for defeating the whale, their natural predator. Seeing an opportunity, he decides to ask them about the system's strange requirement. He explains he's new to the area and asks if they know the location of the Atlantans. The trio looks dejected, admitting they have never heard of such a place. His hopes are dashed as he realizes these creatures are completely clueless. He shifts tactics, trying to gather basic information about their location and daily lives. They explain their simple existence, collecting pearl shells to turn in. He questions the mundane task of collecting pearl shells. He scoffs internally, comparing this new reality to a cheap beachcombing simulator from his past life. The small squids suddenly look terrified, asking him about a place called Coral City. They frantically urge him to hide, leaving him bewildered by their sudden panic. The trio explains they're hiding from bullies who will punish them for not collecting enough shells. He's stunned as a gangster-like catfish and a lobster enforcer make their grand entrance. The lobster brags about his powerful connections, reminding the squid of his own former underlings. He listens in disbelief as the lobster discusses collecting protection fees from the other sea creatures. With a powerful strike, the lobster shatters their hiding spot, demanding they show themselves. The enforcer looms over the terrified squids, ordering them to hand over the fees immediately. He's taken aback by the lobster's thuggish posture and ridiculous accent. He scoffs at the absurd sight of seafood extorting other seafood for protection money. Their conversation reveals a crucial clue. The path to power leads through Coral City. The lobster aggressively grabs one of the small squids, demanding it hand over the shells. The terrified creature tearfully admits it only managed to find a single shell.
He instantly recognizes the familiar law of the jungle and realizes shells are the local currency.
Deciding to mind his own business, he tries to slip away unnoticed. His unique appearance immediately catches the eye of the two enforcers, who label him a newcomer. The protagonist freezes, caught completely off guard by their sudden attention. He attempts to feign ignorance, hoping they'll lose interest and leave him alone. The catfish boss looms over him, demanding the newcomer show proper respect for his authority. The lobster enforcer cracks his claws, threatening to teach the squid a painful lesson about local etiquette. He narrowly dodges a devastating punch from the lobster that shatters the seafloor. Acknowledging the huge size difference, he immediately plans a strategic retreat. The lobster enforcer isn't letting him go that easily, lunging to block his escape. In a flash, the lobster's long antenna whips out and snags the fleeing squid. He's violently slammed against the enforcer's tough shell, completely immobilized. The catfish boss triples his protection fee, and the protagonist seethes at the absurdity of being bullied by seafood. The two thugs are baffled by his muttering, assuming he's gone mad with fear. A system notification for his strengthened spray ink appears, giving him a sudden surge of confidence. He blasts his ink directly into the catfish's face, catching the thugs completely off guard. Using the confusion, he expertly slips out of the lobster's now loosened grip. Blinded by his own ink, he becomes completely disoriented and struggles to find an escape route. His panicked escape is cut short as he comically slams headfirst into a hard surface. He's frustrated to discover his human senses don't help him navigate through his own squid ink. Just as he's lost, a small friendly tentacle beckons him from the darkness. Startled, he realizes one of the small squids is leading him to safety through the murky cloud. They quickly pull him into a narrow crevice, urging him to hide from the enraged enforcers. Impressed by his powerful ink attack, the small squids praise his skill and suggest they all flee. But running isn't in his nature. He glares back, declaring he never flees before settling a score. The enraged lobster and catfish vow revenge, still struggling to see through the ink. His human instincts take over, promising to return the favor twofold. The small squids stare in disbelief, shocked by his refusal to retreat. He suddenly spots a thick patch of seaweed, a clever plan forming in his mind. With a determined glint in his eye, he prepares to turn the tables on the thugs. Meanwhile, the lobster's claw blindly cuts through the water, trying to find its target. The enforcer is furious, unable to believe his prey would dare to retaliate. His sharp eyes finally spot one of the small squids trying to hide. A cruel smile spreads across the lobster's face as he closes in on his target. He lunges forward with his massive claw, vowing to make them all pay for their defiance. The lobster is suddenly ensnared by thick seaweed, with the protagonist peeking out smugly from behind. At his command, one of the small squids fiercely tightens the seaweed trap around the shocked enforcer. The other small squids join in, using all their might to help restrain the powerful lobster. As the lobster panics, the protagonist zips past him, a triumphant blur of motion. He turns back with a manic grin, mocking the bully's futile attempts to escape. His victory lap is cut short as a stray piece of seaweed unexpectedly wraps around him. He's violently yanked backward, crashing headfirst into the equally stunned lobster. To his horror, he realizes the overzealous squids have accidentally tied him up with his enemy. The small squids stare in wide-eyed confusion, only now noticing their critical error. The plan backfires spectacularly, leaving both the protagonist and the lobster helplessly bound together on the seafloor. He's furious to find himself tied to the blushing lobster, questioning the thug's bizarre reaction. Internally, he curses the incompetence of his small squid allies for this ridiculous blunder. A brilliant idea strikes him as he remembers the unique physical properties of a mollusk. He begins to contort his boneless body, straining to squeeze out of the seaweed bonds. His tentacles deftly slip through the gaps, proving his squid anatomy is the perfect escape tool. Now free, he stands victoriously atop the helpless lobster, who begs to be released. The small squids celebrate their apparent victory as he boasts about easily handling the enforcer. He smugly warns against messing with him, only to notice the celebration has abruptly stopped. The small squids stare in terror, questioning his actions as an unseen force begins to drag them away. Their cries of fear echo as they are pulled helplessly into the dark, their pleas ignored. He watches as the small squids cry out, now ensnared by the same seaweed trap. He smirks, satisfied that he's also restrained his incompetent allies to prevent further blunders. A system notification confirms his capture of the lobster and squids, rewarding him with a new strengthening skill. His celebration is cut short as he senses a new presence approaching from the murky depths. He's momentarily distracted by the twitching antenna of the still-bound lobster. The small squids stare in horror, their fear directed at a threat he hasn't yet seen. He turns to find the furious catfish boss looming over him, demanding silence. The boss opens its cavernous mouth, creating a powerful whirlpool to devour everything in its path. A sudden sense of dread fills him as he's pulled helplessly toward the gaping maw. Relying on his sensitive squid nerves, he expertly dodges the powerful suction at the last second. The catfish boss acknowledges his opponent's unusual skill after the failed attack. Unfazed, the boss activates a powerful level 4 skill to finish the fight. He launches himself forward in a devastating charge, aiming to overwhelm the small squid. The protagonist panics, admitting to himself that brute force isn't his specialty. Remembering a brawling friend from his human life gives him a sudden spark of inspiration. He decides to test the limits of his newly acquired strength-enhancing skill. Activating the ability, his tentacles instantly grow bigger and more powerful. He strains with all his might, using his enhanced limbs to grab the charging catfish by the tail. With a mighty heave, he halts the boss's momentum and begins swinging the massive fish through the water. He brutally slams the stunned catfish headfirst into the ocean floor with immense force. The catfish boss cries out in agony from the devastating slam. He relentlessly smashes the boss into the seafloor again, sending debris flying everywhere. The dazed and disoriented catfish finds itself helplessly wedged between the rocks. With the boss neutralized, he turns his attention to the still-bound lobster as his allies watch in awe. He looms over the terrified lobster, questioning its previous arrogance now that the tables have turned. His powerful tentacle firmly grips the lobster's own massive claw. He sadistically wields the lobster's claw like a weapon, promising some well-deserved payback. He clarifies that the lobster isn't his target, directing his malicious intent toward the trapped boss. He takes careful aim, pointing the sharp claw directly at the vulnerable catfish. With a twisted grin, he tells the lobster to enjoy the show as he prepares to deliver the final blow. The lobster desperately pleads with him, terrified of what he's about to do with its claw. Wedged in the rocks, the catfish boss senses the sudden, ominous silence. Ignoring the pleas, he viciously strikes the boss with the lobster's pincer. The boss's eyes bulge in agony as the sharp point makes contact. The immense force of the blow shatters the tip of the lobster's own claw. The lobster screams in pain, feeling the devastating impact through its limb. His small squid allies can only watch in absolute terror at his brutal display of power. The defeated catfish boss lets out a final agonizing cry from the attack. As a last resort, the boss activates a special ability, unleashing a secret weapon. He's immediately repulsed as the boss covers the area in a foul-smelling slime. The slime attack proves to be a diversion as the boss desperately tries to escape its rocky prison. Ignoring the protests of a small squid, the battered catfish boss successfully makes its escape. He scoffs in frustration, annoyed that his prey escaped before he could inflict more punishment. A system notification confirms his victory over the stinky fish, rewarding him with a color-changing camouflage skill. The terrified lobster attempts a disgusting escape maneuver, shocking the small squids with its desperate tactic. His new reward does little to soothe his anger, as his attention shifts to his next target. With a menacing glare, he turns his full, unbridled fury toward the terrified lobster. The lobster is overwhelmed by his ruthless aura, realizing it must resort to a desperate final act. In a shocking twist, the lobster prostrates itself, pleading to abandon its old boss and serve him instead. This unexpected plea for allegiance completely stuns him, halting his vengeful rampage in its tracks. He internally sighs with relief, revealing his threats were just a bluff to intimidate his new captive. He offers mercy in exchange for information, and the terrified lobster eagerly pledges its service. Meanwhile, the story shifts to the magnificent and sprawling underwater metropolis of Coral City. The escaped catfish boss grovels before a powerful dragon-like figure, begging for vengeance. It continues its pathetic report, trying to provoke its master by claiming the protagonist showed him disrespect. The master's glowing eye narrows in fury, shutting down the catfish's whining with a single contemptuous glare. He scolds the catfish for failing its treasure-hunting mission and losing to a mere outsider. The catfish pathetically blames its weakness, suggesting it would be stronger with a contractor. The master's interest is piqued when the catfish mentions a specific power-up, surprising his subordinate. He agrees to find the catfish a contractor, but grabs it by the tail, delivering a menacing ultimatum. The master issues a stern order to eliminate all outsiders without revealing his own involvement. He explains his seclusion prevents him from acting directly, delegating the task to his contractor. The contractor Ning Yi, an Atlantean son-in-law with a mysterious level, beckons the catfish to follow. He leads the anxious catfish towards a seemingly ordinary utility room. Inside, Ning Yi is startled by the sudden appearance of an imposing, flamboyantly dressed woman. A profile reveals her as Q Rong, his notoriously cruel level 8 mother-in-law, known as Granny Rong. Despite his shock, he forces a nervous smile and greets the formidable woman. His greeting is met with a swift and powerful slap across the face. Stunned and hurt, he questions the reason for her sudden aggression. She viciously berates him for his perceived incompetence, while he silently blames her for their family's problems. The catfish boss panics, realizing the notoriously cruel Granny Rong is its new contractor. Granny Rong excitedly points out the new sea creature, while the catfish silently pleads for help. With a manic grin, she leaps onto the back of the terrified catfish. She declares its physique impressive and decides to make it her new mount, crushing it under her weight. Ning Yi facepalms, pitying the catfish's terrible luck as he decides to make a swift exit. Having secured her new pet, Granny Rong turns and barks an order at a nearby servant girl. A profile reveals the servant is Chen Xingyun, a reincarnator currently suffering from memory loss. She roughly shoves her bags at the servant, ordering her to take them home. The force of the shove sends the startled servant tumbling to the ground as she meekly obeys. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of Coral City, the lobster subordinate bids farewell to the small squids. The small squids express immense relief now that the intimidating lobster is finally gone. As they travel, the protagonist processes the new information, while his lobster subordinate worries about its broken claw. The lobster explains that Coral City is the hub of this world, ruled by the human-like Atlanteans. He learns that sea creatures can form contracts with Atlanteans, granting both parties a powerful shared ability. The protagonist realizes this contract system sounds suspiciously similar to his own, questioning if he's truly unique. As they approach the city gates, he concludes the lobster is telling the truth and is unaware of his system's true nature. To ensure loyalty, he reveals a fake poison, promising an antidote only if the lobster remains completely obedient. He decides that entering Coral City is essential for both gaining power and uncovering the world's secrets. Suddenly, both he and his new subordinate stop in their tracks, startled by an unexpected sight. They spot his old nemesis, the catfish boss, now serving as a miserable mount for the cruel Granny Rong. The lobster panics, realizing the catfish has found a contractor, but the protagonist remains unfazed. It explains their new enemy is Granny Wrong, a notorious abuser of sea creatures much to the protagonist's disgust. He curses his luck at being a squid in a world with humans, only to be playfully teased by a mysterious blonde woman. The lobster frantically insists they flee before Granny Wrong spots them and subjects them to a terrible fate. Unconcerned, the protagonist announces he has a plan and activates his flexible tentacles ability. He begins to twist and wrap his body around the utterly confused lobster. Using his color-changing camouflage, he transforms them both into a convincing Atlantean disguise. He internally congratulates himself on his brilliant 2-in-1 transformation plan. The disguised duo approaches Granny Wrong, with the protagonist offering a smooth compliment to the dangerous woman. His flattery successfully catches her off guard, earning a pleased and slightly unsettling smile. Granny Wrong returns the compliment, mistaking the disguised protagonist for a relative of a mutual acquaintance. The catfish boss panics, seeing its former subordinate now has a contractor and is no longer an easy target. The lobster silently curses its luck, terrified the catfish will recognize the protagonist hidden within the disguise. The protagonist smoothly lies, claiming to be on the way to a friend's house to maintain the charade. He internally regrets his decision, realizing a simple greeting has trapped him in a dangerous conversation. Completely fooled, Granny Wrong invites the disguised duo to travel with her, boasting about her mount's speed. The two parties are now stuck together, with the protagonist sweating under Granny Wrong's oblivious gaze. They settle down for a tense journey, with the protagonist's clever disguise holding firm for the moment. Suddenly, the catfish boss perks up, detecting a strangely familiar scent from the new woman. Its keen sense of smell confirms the truth. The scent belongs to its nemesis, the squid, blowing his cover wide open. The catfish boss frantically exposes the protagonist's disguise, hoping Granny Wrong will eliminate its old nemesis. Furious at being discovered, the protagonist silently curses the catfish for ruining his brilliant plan. With their cover blown, the duo's disguise unravels as they make a desperate attempt to flee. The lobster furiously berates the catfish for its betrayal, forgetting their old alliance. The catfish smugly justifies its actions, claiming they now serve different masters and all bets are off. Granny Wrong's eyes light up with glee, delighted by the unexpected bonus of 2 more sea creatures. Her expression turns menacing as she vows that neither of her new potential pets will escape. The terrified lobster realizes their grim fate, but the protagonist proposes they fight back with an old trick. The lobster's eyes widen in dawning horror as it realizes exactly what the protagonist has in mind. In a desperate move, the lobster uses the protagonist as a makeshift bat, executing a lobster home run. Unfazed, Granny Wrong activates her double entwinement technique, enveloping herself and the catfish in a powerful aura. The protagonist slams into the ground from the lobster's attack, protesting his undignified use as a weapon. A blinding light erupts from Granny Wrong's mount as the powerful ritual reaches its climax. The catfish emerges completely transformed into the one-punch fishman, boasting a new heat-based fist technique. The protagonist skids to a halt, his face a mask of pure disbelief at his rival's absurd power-up. The newly evolved catfish smirks smugly, assuming its incredible power has stunned its foe into silence. Instead of fear, the protagonist expresses alarm at the technique's apparent side effect of causing baldness. Taking the comment as an insult, the enraged one-punch fishman launches a fiery punch. Its ultra-high-temperature fist technique boils the surrounding ocean, sending a wave of steam toward the duo. In a desperate act of self-preservation, the protagonist shoves his terrified lobster subordinate forward to block the attack. The lobster subordinate is sent flying, screaming in agony as the superheated steam engulfs its body. It crashes into the seabed, instantly cooked bright red by the devastating heat wave. The protagonist stares in disbelief at his fallen ally, shocked by the incredible power of the fishman's attack. The one-punch fishman appears behind him, annoyed that the squid managed to survive the initial blast. Without hesitation, the enraged catfish unleashes a furious barrage of powerful punches. The protagonist is overwhelmed by the relentless assault, barely weathering the storm of blows. As a last resort, he deploys his signature ink spray, attempting to blind his superpowered rival. The catfish smirks, revealing a pair of shades and mocking the protagonist for trying the same old trick. He charges a massive punch, creating a powerful vortex of water to blow away the entire ink cloud. The protagonist panics, realizing his opponent is preparing a finishing move and that he must escape immediately. The protagonist desperately flees, fixated on reaching a specific safe location. Unrelenting, the one-punch fishman launches another guaranteed cook finishing move. His attack unleashes a devastating tidal wave of superheated water. The ocean itself boils into a massive cloud of steam from the sheer force of the blow. The fishman's power suddenly fizzles out, reverting him to his original catfish form. The power-up's abrupt end leaves both Granny Wrong and the catfish boss confused. Granny Wrong furiously blames her mount's weakness for the technique's short duration. The catfish boss silently seethes, annoyed by its contractor's own incompetence. Its complaints are cut short as it suddenly realizes something is terribly wrong. They survey the blast zone, shocked by their own power and the protagonist's complete disappearance. The catfish boss puzzles over the lone, pungent-smelling cooked lobster, wondering where the squid vanished. Deciding one prize is better than none, Granny Wrong happily scoops up the massive cooked lobster for dinner. She eagerly urges her mount homeward, but the catfish boss seems less than thrilled with the new arrangement. Suddenly, the catfish detects the unmistakable foul stench of its squid nemesis lingering in the water. The seemingly cooked lobster sheds a single silent drop, hinting that it's not what it appears to be. It's revealed the protagonist used a mimicry camouflage skill, narrowly escaping by disguising himself as a cooked crustacean. The scene changes to the protagonist in his human form, anxiously presenting a dish of cooked insects. He carefully sets the unsettling meal down, his mission clearly taking a bizarre turn. The protagonist then addresses a powerful dragon lord, questioning how long they must maintain their current charade. The dragon lord advises patience, ordering him to keep their contract secret until his own injuries are fully healed. The protagonist recalls a divine being's ultimatum: achieve supremacy in this new world, or face complete annihilation. The Dragon Lord accesses a character file, reflecting on how a recent fight changed his entire perspective. He reviews the profile of another transmigrator, a powerful boss contracted to a deep-sea giant crab. The Dragon Lord concludes that his fellow otherworlder is the most significant threat in this new reality. While checking his healing chest wound, he begins to outline their strategy of quietly amassing strength. He reveals his own impressive stats as the Dragon King Crocodile, determined to crush all competition. The Dragon Lord turns to address his subordinate, only to find the protagonist has already disappeared. Elsewhere, the protagonist walks away, internally complaining about the Dragon Lord's constant demands for patience. The Dragon Lord sits back down, fuming at his son-in-law's audacity for leaving mid-lecture. His grand posturing is revealed to be a ruse, as his only real thought is sneaking to the kitchen for more food. The scene flashes back to the Dragon Lord and his son-in-law in their reptilian forms, parting ways in a courtyard. The Dragon Lord recalls his son-in-law's shocking revelation that they were both originally from another world. Back in the present, the protagonist, in his squid form, tries to explain his reincarnation story to a skeptical maid. He dramatically reenacts his untimely demise by a truck, which led to his new life as a squid. The protagonist finishes his tale with a hopeful expression, expecting her to finally understand his predicament. The maid, however, simply scoffs at his story, infuriating the squid with her stubborn disbelief. He throws a fit on the floor, exasperated that his incredible true story is being dismissed so easily. A new idea strikes him as he accesses his system, discovering a clause about unlocking skills through contractors. He fumes over the ridiculously long and convoluted terms of the Atlantean Sea Reincarnator system, feeling utterly scammed. Setting his anger aside, he proposes the solution, signing a contract to restore the maid's own lost memories. He pulls up the system's contract interface, ready to make a deal. The squid eagerly presents a magical scroll, promising the maid her memories back if she just signs. She flatly refuses, citing anti-fraud education, and the system reveals the contract can't be forced, much to the squid's frustration. Suddenly, the imposing Dragon Lord intervenes, vouching for his son-in-law's unbelievable tale. The scene changes to Granny Wrong and her catfish mount, arriving at the grand entrance of Coral City. The protagonist, now back with his own group, gazes in awe at the spectacular underwater metropolis. He walks through the city's lively streets, noticing how it resembles a human city, but with a unique twist. Meanwhile, Granny Wrong and her mount also observe the city, with the catfish still looking utterly miserable. The protagonist quickly deduces that in Coral City, the wealthy and powerful are always accompanied by contracted sea creatures. Conversely, he notes that the city's poor and downtrodden wander the streets alone, without any aquatic partners. The protagonist ponders whether contracted sea creatures grant high status, or if only the elite can afford them. His group observes a man generously handing out aid to the city's less fortunate citizens. The squid is surprised to find a charitable guild offering free relief in such a competitive world. This kind benefactor, accompanied by his powerful crab partner, cheerfully distributes pearl shells to the needy. As Granny Wrong departs, she berates her mount for its slowness, drawing the attention of the guild leader. The man's friendly demeanor vanishes, replaced by a cold, calculating stare as he watches them leave. The scene shifts to the opulent, sprawling underwater estate of the Q family mansion. Granny Wrong arrives home to a formal welcome from her maids, clearly exhausted but triumphant. She immediately barks orders at her staff, demanding a massive feast of oysters to celebrate her hunt. Hidden from view, the protagonist despairs, realizing he missed his chance to escape and is now trapped in the enemy's home. The protagonist's eyes widen in sheer panic as he's about to be handled. Granny Wrong carelessly tosses him to a maid, ordering her to prepare the lobster for dinner. He sees this as a golden opportunity, planning his escape from the kitchen to find a contractor. But his plans come to a screeching halt when the maid's eyes widen in recognition. He stares back in disbelief, questioning if this familiar face is also a reincarnator from his world. As Granny Wrong orders her defeated catfish mount to give her a leg massage, the maid carries him away. She carries him into the sprawling, modern kitchen, placing him on the counter. The maid hums, believing they're alone, while the protagonist observes her, noting she acts nothing like the person he knew. He debates whether to risk revealing his true identity to this mysterious doppelganger. His train of thought is suddenly interrupted, leaving him utterly perplexed. The maid's friendly demeanor vanishes as she raises a kitchen knife ready to turn him into dinner. In a desperate bid to save his life, the protagonist frantically tries to get her attention. She freezes in disbelief upon hearing him speak, and he recognizes her shocked expression as that of his old friend. He drops his disguise, revealing his true squid form and cheerfully announcing his identity. His grand reveal is met with a deadpan stare and a tense, silent standoff in the kitchen. The maid's confusion turns to terror as she tries to scream for help, forcing the protagonist to act fast. He remembers his current form isn't human and instinctively uses his tentacles to intervene. He quickly restrains her to muffle her cries, urgently explaining his reincarnation until she finally recognizes his name. Relieved, he immediately decides that this familiar face from his past is the perfect candidate for his first contractor. As he holds her, the flustered maid confirms his identity and begins to question how he ended up here. The maid stares blankly ahead, completely baffled by the squid clinging to her shoulder. He recoils in disbelief, utterly floored that his old friend has no memory of him. Her confusion turns to suspicion as she accuses them of being a scamming duo. A well-dressed reptilian man suddenly enters, calmly telling them he's one of their kind. The protagonist is stunned, questioning if this newcomer is yet another reincarnator from another world. The reptilian man explains that only otherworlder sea creatures possess the special system he's displaying. The maid gasps, realizing she can also see the glowing interface, confirming she's an otherworlder too. As the protagonist questions her amnesia, the maid grows increasingly frustrated by their strange conversation. He grows uneasy, wondering just how many otherworlders were sent here by the mysterious Nana. The reptilian man's eyes glow with intensity, intrigued that the squid knows that specific name. The maid dismisses their talk of Nana and urgently warns them to flee before Granny Wrong returns. The protagonist panics, desperately trying to warn his friend to stay away from the newcomer. In a flash, the reptilian man lunges for the maid, prompting the squid to use a tentacle to pull her back. She cries out in shock as the man's powerful grip lands on her shoulder, his energy crackling. Held firmly in his grasp, the maid realizes his true lethal intentions. The reptilian man coldly declares that all otherworlders are rivals and must be destroyed. The protagonist remembers Nana's command to survive and rise to the top of this new world. The newcomer confirms he received the same mission, along with the grim warning that failure means total annihilation. He unleashes his immense power, vowing to be the sole sovereign by eliminating all other contenders. The squid questions this brutal logic, simultaneously realizing this foe's aura is on a completely different level. The reptilian man scoffs at sparing them, seeing them only as future nuisances to be eliminated now. He lunges forward with lethal intent, vowing that both of them will perish in the kitchen. The protagonist grimaces, recognizing his opponent as the most dangerous kind of foe, one who resorts to immediate violence. His gaze sharpens as he spots a bandaged wound on the man's chest, identifying a potential opening. Acting quickly, the squid unleashes a cloud of ink, hoping to create a tactical diversion. The reptilian man contemptuously brushes the ink aside, completely unimpressed by the petty trick. Realizing his gambit failed, the squid uses his tentacles to rocket himself directly at the enemy. He crashes headfirst into the man's injured chest, striking the exact weak point he targeted. Clinging on with all his might, he urges his friend to flee while he buys her precious time. The maid stares in disbelief, stunned by the little squid's selfless act of bravery. The squid grits his teeth in pain, his desperate attack causing him immense strain. Infuriated, the reptilian man rips the protagonist off his chest, enraged that his wound was struck. He furiously hurls the tiny squid across the kitchen, intending to finish him off for good. Without hesitation, the maid dives forward, determined to shield the brave creature with her own body. She successfully intercepts the squid, taking the full force of the impact herself. Cradling the injured protagonist, she's completely baffled by his selfless sacrifice for a mere servant. The squid endures the agony, remembering a solemn promise he made to protect her in their past life. As he struggles, a mysterious data link in the maid's mind begins to loosen, unlocking sealed memories. A forgotten flashback reveals the protagonist as a young boy, vowing to always protect her. With tears in her eyes, she desperately accepts his offer for a contract, begging him not to die. A system message declares the conditions for a contract have been met, as their conflicting emotions finally align. With a smug grin, the protagonist triumphantly finalizes the contract on a glowing scroll. As the contract is successfully signed, a brilliant blue energy erupts around the maid, binding her to the squid. The reptilian man watches in fury, enraged by their sudden power-up and successful alliance. Suddenly, a new notification announces their entry into a mysterious system space. The protagonist's eyes widen in disbelief as he finds himself in an unfamiliar digital realm. Inside this space, he's shocked to see he has reverted to his original human form. He marvels at his human hands, wondering if this space allows him to escape his squid body. He turns to his friend, noticing her dazed expression and a strange chain on her head that looks like a seal. Believing it's a seal, he reaches out to touch the glowing gem embedded in the chain on her forehead. As his finger makes contact, the strange seal on her forehead instantly shatters. The system space breaks apart, plunging him into a confusing vision of a familiar yet different world. He stares in shock, recognizing the scene as their original world before their reincarnation. In this memory, his friend looks around in confusion, searching for him by his original name. Overjoyed, he waves and calls out to her, trying to bridge the gap between them. He's stunned as his hand phases right through her, realizing he's merely a ghostly spectator. He deduces he's witnessing a memory as she rushes toward the source of a commotion. The culprit is revealed, a gleeful Nana driving a truck marked with a magical seal, ready for an isekai adventure. The magic circle activates, ensnaring his friend in a beam of light as she's forcibly transported. The vision shatters into countless pieces, showing the moment they were all violently separated by Nana's reckless act. A system notification confirms their contract is signed, finally unlocking all restrictions. The maid's eyes sharpen with a familiar, calculating gaze as her memories fully return. They recognize each other instantly, finally reunited with their original identities. He smiles, hoping for a tender reunion now that she remembers him. His sentimental moment is brutally interrupted by a swift slap to the face. With her memories restored, the maid's true fiery personality is unleashed once more. Their old bickering dynamic immediately resurfaces in a comical exchange. She quickly pieces together their reincarnation, surprising him with her sharp deduction. She proudly reveals her source of knowledge, a vast library of transmigration novels. As they process their reunion, a new system alert announces their contract rewards are activating. System notifications flood their vision, granting a level up, stat boosts, and a powerful new C-rank technique. He recognizes the technique as one he's seen before, and they both agree to unleash it immediately. Unleashing their combined power, they launch the Sea God entwinement technique directly at their stunned foe. The reptilian man can only watch in disbelief, infuriated by their unexpected teamwork and power. Their technique culminates in a stunning transformation, merging them into a single divine entity with multiple golden arms. He realizes his consciousness is in the driver's seat, with the new body's features based on his squid characteristics. The maid's consciousness, however, is relegated to a digital gem space, surrounded by system panels. Inside her mental space, she's a whirlwind of energy, shadowboxing with fierce determination. He breaks into a nervous sweat, realizing her fiery personality is bleeding through into his own consciousness. Unimpressed by their transformation, the reptilian man tenses his claws, preparing to strike back with full force. He's startled by the sudden surge of raw aggression bleeding through from his partner's consciousness. Despite his surprise, their new divine form instinctively intercepts the reptilian man's ferocious charge. The reptilian man roars in frustration, refusing to give them a moment to adapt to their new abilities. A sly grin spreads across the protagonist's face as he calls out the enemy for preying on fellow otherworlders. The level 60 Dragon King crocodile scoffs, confident he can crush their level 15 form with sheer brute force. The protagonist strains under the immense pressure, acknowledging a direct fight against a high-level boss is too challenging. However, his gaze sharpens as he spots a critical weakness: the reptilian man's previously inflicted wound. He flashes a wicked smile, deciding to exploit the very injury he created earlier. The reptilian man recoils in alarm, suddenly realizing the danger posed by the entity's numerous arms. With a crazed look, the protagonist unleashes all his golden arms to pin down his foe and target the vulnerable spot. With a manic grin, he unleashes a relentless flurry of pokes from his many arms, targeting the reptilian's weak spot. The Dragon King crocodile is overwhelmed by the assault, his eyes rolling back as he's stunned into submission. A final, powerful blow sends the reptilian man flying backward, utterly defeated by their combined might. The protagonist smirks victoriously, smugly noting that having more than 4 hands gives him an undeniable advantage. A system notification pops up confirming their victory, though his partner's consciousness is more focused on her delayed lobster supper. He's startled to see a live feed of Granny Wrong and a catfish monster, who are apparently in charge of the meal. The catfish monster dutifully knocks on a door, ready to hurry the chef along as commanded. Turning to face the 2 new arrivals, he declares that fate has conveniently gathered all his targets in one place. However, a sudden system alert announces their powerful sea god entwinement technique has just timed out. Their divine form instantly dissolves, separating them back into a tiny squid and a maid, right in front of their new foes. The maid snaps back to reality, disoriented after being pulled from her mental boxing match. An awkward silence hangs in the air as the tiny duo faces off against the imposing catfish monster. She urgently tries to rally her dazed partner, pointing out their new, much larger opponent. The Dragon King crocodile, recovered from their last battle, powers up, shocked to see the protagonist still kicking. He lunges forward with renewed fury, determined to finish them off for good. The maid intercepts his attack with surprising strength, while the squid on her shoulder beams with pride. The crocodile stares in disbelief, confused by the maid's sudden appearance and power. He's suddenly thrown off balance, caught completely by surprise by her unexpected move. She commands her partner to attack, and they coordinate perfectly to deliver a powerful kick. The Dragon King crocodile reels back, letting out a pained cry from the well-aimed strike. With the squid on her shoulder, the maid orders a swift retreat, leaving a confused Granny Wrong behind. Granny Wrong furiously grabs the maid's arm, enraged that she dared to strike her prized sea beast. Unfazed, the maid responds to the confrontation with a powerful punch straight to Granny Wrong's face. Ignoring her partner's pleas to escape, the maid's fury boils over as she defies his command. The force of the blow sends Granny Wrong staggering backward, her face contorted in pain. She leaps onto her fallen foe, unleashing a flurry of strikes to settle old scores from her time as a servant. Granny Wrong's face is a mess of bruises as she desperately cries for help, accusing the maid of rebellion. Despite her partner's warning about being in enemy territory, she decides to land a few more hits before they escape. The sounds of their struggle attract attention as footsteps are heard rushing toward their location. The squid panics as he spots silhouettes in the doorway, realizing reinforcements have already arrived. The maid stands over her defeated foe, declaring it's time for them to leave. She laughs triumphantly as she flees, leaving a stunned group of maids to tend to the injured Granny Wrong. With incredible agility, she effortlessly leaps over the high estate wall to make her escape. The other maids rush to help their mistress, but Granny Wrong furiously orders them to pursue the runaway duo instead. Safely on the other side, she pauses to deliver a final defiant taunt, much to her partner's dismay. The pair dives into the water, disappearing from sight and leaving their pursuers behind. From off-screen, an enraged Granny Wrong commands her forces to hunt down and eliminate the rebellious maid. Meanwhile, the injured Dragon King crocodile struggles on the ground, calling out for the catfish monster's aid. The catfish monster turns around looking perplexed as he tries to identify who called his name. The Dragon King crocodile orders the catfish to help him recover and to summon his son-in-law, startling the monster with his command. The Dragon King crocodile internally panics, realizing he must stay hidden or risk being found by a dangerous crab. The scene shifts to a lavish room where the now-recovered Dragon King crocodile sits on his throne. He informs his son-in-law that a city-wide bounty will be placed on the fugitives tomorrow. The crocodile is outraged by the delay, realizing waiting until the next day gives his enemies too much time. He frantically explains how much ground the duo can cover in 2 hours, confusing his allies with his otherworlder knowledge. He worries for his own survival, fearing the protagonist will ally with his rival from the Chamber of Commerce. His son-in-law prepares to depart, mentioning the upcoming ancient tower trials are a priority for the Q family. The mention of the trials sparks an idea, and he lunges forward, realizing the squid will surely participate. He grabs the terrified catfish monster, ordering it to deliver a cryptic message to an old man about wanting to eat fish. Meanwhile, the maid and the squid navigate a bustling underwater market, trying to blend in with the crowd. The maid and squid flee through the market, annoyed by the relentless pursuit of Granny Wrong's forces. She zips around a corner, startling the local shoppers with her incredible speed. Her pursuers follow close behind, certain they've cornered the duo in a dead-end alley. They are instead met by a peculiar old man, calmly hawking lamb skewers in the middle of the alley. The maids stop, confused, and ask the vendor if he saw where the fugitive went. The old man nonchalantly points upward, informing them that their target simply leaped over the wall. Frustrated by their target's surprising agility, the maids resolve to continue the chase over the wall. It's revealed the old man was the squid in disguise, who smugly asks his partner for praise on his performance. The squid chides her for the illogical disguise, but she points out that their pursuers were foolish enough to believe it. She angrily defends her plan by citing cartoon logic, all while a menacing figure with glowing red eyes appears behind them unnoticed. The maid and squid turn around, startled by the sudden appearance of a new threat. A colossal crab from the Chamber of Commerce confronts them, demanding to see their vendor's license. The maid panics, thinking this is instant karma, while her partner desperately tries to silence her. The crab relentlessly gurgles its demand for a license, cornering the duo in the alley. She considers fighting their way out, but the squid advises caution and decides to scan their opponent first. He activates his ocular scanner, focusing intently on the mysterious crustacean. The scan fails, showing an unreadable level, but the squid gets a strange sense of familiarity. He recalls seeing the crab working as a simple cashier for a charity, dismissing it as a non-threat. Convinced their opponent is weak, the duo shares a battle-hungry grin and prepares to attack. Without hesitation, the maid delivers a powerful kick straight to the giant crab's face. She snatches a nearby stool, preparing to unleash her thunderous fury. Standing victoriously atop the crab, she grins, relishing her supposed dominance. The crab, however, seems merely confused by the assault, holding up a sign of pure bewilderment. Enraged by its lack of reaction, she raises the stool, determined to teach it a lesson. The duo launches a coordinated attack, relentlessly pummeling the crab with their makeshift weapon. Unfazed, the crab's eyes begin to glow with a menacing red light as its patience wears thin. The maid finally notices something is wrong, shocked that their barrage isn't even scratching their opponent. A system alert terrifies the squid, revealing their foe is at least 50 levels higher than them. The crab's sign magically updates, branding them as dangerous individuals who choose violence over negotiation. The maid looks on in pure terror, realizing they've been identified and are now in serious trouble. The maid suggests apologizing, but her partner refuses, pointing out the crab's obvious rage while trying to hide behind her. In the ensuing panic, the maid loses her footing and tumbles backward onto the ground. Her face contorts in sheer terror as she realizes the gravity of their situation. The colossal crab raises its pincer, preparing to bring it down on the helpless maid. Desperate, she grabs her partner, pleading for him to save her from the impending doom. She strategically uses the squid's body as both a foothold and a shield. With a surprising burst of agility, she launches herself off her partner, leaving him to face the crab's wrath. Now caught in the crab's pincer, the squid heroically tells her to flee and promises great rewards for his sacrifice. Touched by his words, she refuses to abandon him, vowing they will face their fate together. The crab effortlessly grabs the maid as well, leaving the duo captured and struggling in its grasp. The crab's eyes flare with red-hot fury as it gurgles menacingly at its captured foes. Even in the face of doom, the squid scolds his partner for her overly dramatic last words. Before the crab can act, mysterious iridescent bubbles suddenly fill the air around them. The duo is abruptly released, landing on the ground and looking around in utter confusion. Their brief freedom ends as they are instantly encased within the strange, floating bubbles. The maid thrashes against her prison, frustrated to find the bubble is impossibly durable. Her partner quickly analyzes the situation, identifying their predicament as a powerful control skill. The squid's eyes widen in dawning horror as he begins to understand the skill's origin. The colossal crab reveals itself as the source, having used its crab bubble spit ability. Both fugitives recoil in disgust, horrified to realize they are trapped inside the crab's spit. Trapped and helpless, the duo floats upwards inside their iridescent prison. They are carried away by the crab, their protests completely ignored as they leave the alley behind. Their captor brings them to a luxurious underwater-themed mansion, revealing a hidden world. Inside, the crab is respectfully greeted as Manager Crab by the mansion's staff. The opulent decor, including a knight's armor and a golden crab emblem, hints at the organization's immense power. The maid and squid realize they've provoked an incredibly influential group, far beyond what they imagined. Manager Crab carries them through a grand hall, approaching a woman waiting by a large door. The woman informs him that the chairman is ready to see him, confirming their worst fears. With a simple gesture, the crab releases the duo from their bubble prison inside the room. The crab glares menacingly, its bubble ability having successfully delivered the troublemakers for judgment. The duo tumbles ungracefully to the floor as the bubble pops. She makes a rough landing, using her partner's body as an unwilling cushion. The maid checks on her squashed companion, who confirms he's surprisingly resilient. His relief is cut short as he notices the imposing figure seated before them. They finally see their judge, a man sitting at a desk with Manager Crab at his side. A system notification reveals the man is Uncle Ba, the city's business godfather with an immeasurable level. The duo watches in disbelief as the chairman and the crab communicate through a series of gurgles. The chairman, Uncle Ba, formally introduces himself with a look that commands absolute authority. Terrified, the maid and squid hastily introduce themselves, internally comparing him to a fearsome movie villain. Uncle Ba cuts them off, his expression turning cold as he declares he knows exactly what they've done. Uncle Ba lays out their crimes, setting up on his turf without permission and attacking his people. He accuses them of showing him a complete lack of respect, causing the maid to cry out in terror. With a menacing glare, he leans in and asks them how they think this situation should be resolved. The duo immediately resorts to desperate, over-the-top flattery, professing their undying admiration. Uncle Ba lets out a dismissive scoff, completely unimpressed by their transparent groveling. He effortlessly calls out their bootlicking, even identifying the movie quote they stole their lines from. The chairman then correctly deduces their true identity as otherworldly visitors. The squid panics, blaming his partner for her poor choice of words and fearing this will end badly. Their mention of a crocodile piques Uncle Ba's interest, who seems impressed they survived an encounter. The squid is stunned, suddenly connecting Uncle Ba to the crocodile's recent injuries. Their judgment is interrupted as a woman arrives at the door, seeking permission to enter. She brings urgent news, announcing a new bounty commission from the powerful Q family. The maid and squid are struck with sheer terror upon hearing the name of their pursuers. Convinced they've walked into a trap, the maid panics while her partner scrambles to formulate a plan. Uncle Ba calmly reviews the bounty details, confirming it's for the capture of a maid and a squid. The maid looks to her companion for reassurance, but he's just as frozen with fear. The squid rapidly analyzes the power dynamics, hoping Uncle Ba is too influential to care about the Chu family's reward. The chairman suddenly calls out their names, snapping them back to attention. He holds up a wanted poster featuring the maid, who nervously denies that the picture is of her. He then presents a poster of the squid, who gives a witty non-answer, putting the ball back in Uncle Ba's court. The maid frantically tries to silence her partner, horrified by his reckless response. Uncle Ba is amused by the squid's defiance, challenging him to explain his clever denial. Seeing an opening, the squid immediately drops to the floor and offers his undying loyalty to Uncle Ba. His partner instantly catches on, a look of understanding dawning on her face. She quickly joins the act, enthusiastically congratulating the chairman on his new devoted follower. Uncle Ba remains silent and thoughtful while Manager Crab gurgles, seemingly giving his counsel. The duo waits anxiously, unnerved by the crab's mysterious input. The chairman finally makes his decision, instructing his subordinate to proceed with the Chu family's bounty. The maid's face falls in utter despair, realizing their desperate groveling was completely ineffective. As Uncle Ba hands over the wanted posters, the fugitives are left kneeling in stunned silence. The maid breaks down in terror, blaming her partner for their capture and wishing she had betrayed him. He struggles out of her grasp, trying to calm her down and think clearly. The squid boldly argues that Uncle Ba hasn't officially made a final decision on their fate.
He turns to the chairman with a desperate, flattering smile, hoping for a sign of mercy.
Uncle Ba seems amused, clarifying that unlike the crocodile, he is simply a businessman. His demeanor darkens as he explains that as a businessman, he must prioritize his client's needs. The squid collapses in despair, believing his gamble to win over the chairman has failed. Suddenly, he realizes the chairman's words contain a loophole, a potential path to survival. He points out that the Chu family's request was only to post a bounty, not for Uncle Ba to act personally. The squid cleverly proposes to become Uncle Ba's new customer, betting that profit outweighs loyalty. Uncle Ba scoffs, pointing out that his customers need status and reputation, questioning what the penniless duo could possibly offer. The squid sweats profusely, unable to answer as he has absolutely nothing of value. The chairman smirks, seeing their desperation, and offers them a single chance to earn their place. He orders his subordinate to provide the fugitives with supplies before sending them out to make a decision. As his assistant leaves, Uncle Ba reveals he will halt their bounty for 7 days, just until the ancient tower trial begins. The squid is stunned by the sudden mention of a trial and a tight deadline. The chairman lays out his terms: pass the trial, and they'll become valued clients with their bounties erased forever. He leaves them with a final warning, stating their success or failure now rests entirely on their own choice. With the chairman gone, the imposing manager crab turns its attention to the terrified duo. The maid finally exhales in relief, the immense pressure of the encounter nearly causing her to collapse. The squid fumes, realizing the so-called choice is nothing more than total coercion. He weighs his options, acknowledging that the unpredictable chairman has given them only 7 days of safety. He turns to his partner, trying to explain the gravity of their predicament. The maid, however, suddenly mocks Manager Crab, praising the chairman's methods in comparison. Her partner is horrified by her reckless disrespect, frantically trying to shut her up. She scoffs at his caution, smugly declaring that she's the one who deserves respect. Her taunts immediately provoke the imposing Manager Crab, who looms over her menacingly. The duo instantly drops to the floor, with the squid desperately apologizing on his partner's behalf. Instead of attacking, the crab gurgles and produces a bubble containing a mysterious scroll. As the bubble floats towards them, the maid panics about being captured, while the squid notices its contents. The bubble pops with a brilliant flash, releasing the scroll directly to the squid. The scroll unfurls into a detailed map of the region, showing the ancient tower at the heart of Coral City. His eyes widen in realization, connecting the map's ancient tower to the trial he must undertake. He quickly shifts tactics, charmingly asking Manager Crab for more information on the upcoming trial. His charming inquiry is met with a silent, unreadable stare from the imposing crab. Breaking its silence, the crab responds by holding up a surprisingly cheerful sign, complete with an emoticon. The maid is bizarrely impressed by the crab's creative use of emoticons, while her partner is utterly baffled. A holographic calendar appears, marking the date and confirming their 7-day deadline before the crab begins its tour. He ponders the unexpected existence of a calendar in the deep sea, realizing he must prepare for the trial within the week. The crab leads them to the base of the ancient tower, a sight that impresses the maid, but has the squid muttering about flawed system designs. The maid excitedly treats their predicament like a vacation, much to her partner's frustration. The squid learns from the crab that the ancient tower is the key to navigating the different layers of the Atlantis Sea. He studies a map of the first layer, noting Coral City is the central hub, and the surrounding wilderness is filled with low-level creatures. The tower is revealed to be the sole gateway for ascending through the sea's depths. He understands that each layer's tower contains a trial arena, a brutal battle for supremacy. The duo imagines the glorious rewards awaiting the sole victor who proves worthy of advancing. He speculates about the powerful experts in the deeper layers, realizing a system limitation prevents him from seeing their true strength. Fortunately, he remembers the crab's crucial detail. The upcoming trial is restricted to competitors between levels 1 and 20. He weighs the terrifying alternative. Refusing the trial means a massive bounty on their heads, attracting countless hunters. With no other choice, he resolves to accept the trial and rapidly increase his power to survive the coming battles. He acknowledges the crushing reality of his 7-day deadline. With a plan forming, he asks Manager Crab to point him toward the most chaotic area outside the city. The crab silently responds by presenting a sign for a place called the Coral Reef Bund. The squid is taken aback, the name of the location sounding strangely familiar. He recalls the map, recognizing the coral reef area as the very place his new life began. Full of confidence, he accepts the trial and declares his intention to train in the Coral Reef Bund first. His partner questions his risky choice, a sentiment the crab surprisingly echoes with another sign. He explains his high-risk, high-reward strategy, comparing the chaos to an efficient grinding spot in a game. His true plan is revealed. He's exploiting a system loophole that grants experience for finishing off already weakened foes. He puts his devious plan into action, preying on injured monsters in the chaotic reef to rapidly gain power. He reasons that since Coral City is controlled by titans like Uncle Ba and the Dragon King, the chaotic wilds are his only shot. Brimming with confidence, he declares he will rise from the chaos and leads his partner toward the Coral Reef Bund. As they leave the city, he boldly states that greater risks yield greater rewards. Unbeknownst to them, a fish-like spy watches from the shadows, stunned by their departure. The spy rushes back to the opulent headquarters of the Q family to deliver his report. The formidable Dragon King crocodile roars in disbelief, demanding to know if the squid and the crab are truly allied. The terrified subordinate confirms he saw Manager Crab personally escorting the duo out of the city. The Dragon King presses for details, learning they departed through the East Gate. He fumes, unable to comprehend how his target managed to team up with Uncle Ba's enforcer. An assistant arrives with more bad news, informing him the Chamber of Commerce has delayed their wanted poster for a week. The Dragon King connects the dots, concluding the squid must be a lackey for the crab. He then panics, realizing this alliance means the crab might know his secret location. Suddenly, an armored silhouette appears, startling the Dragon King and his subordinate. The figure is revealed as Shadow Warrior Hanzo, the Dragon King's most trusted aide. The Dragon King explains that the situation has become so dire, he had no choice but to summon him. He hands Hanzo the wanted poster, ordering him to investigate the connection between the squid and the crab. The stoic warrior asks for his orders once the investigation is complete. The Dragon King commands him to eliminate the squid and uncover the crab's true intentions. Hanzo accepts the mission with a confident grin, ready to carry out the grim task. With a flash of movement, the warrior vanishes to begin his deadly assignment. Hanzo begins his hunt, using a unique turtle shell divination technique to locate his prey. The magical shell shatters and reforms, pointing the assassin directly toward the Coral Reef Bund. Meanwhile, the maid celebrates their departure, sporting a brand new stylish outfit for their chaotic adventure. She proudly explains her new look is a cool sister style she has always wanted to try. A flashback reveals the moment half a day ago when they were about to set off for the Bund. Just as they were leaving, the maid suddenly halted their progress with an urgent request to change her clothes. The squid despairs, recalling his partner's infamous 5-hour-long clothes-trying sessions. She vehemently complains about her maid uniform, finding it too bulky and unbearable to wear any longer. He tries to delay her, citing their lack of funds and the mission's urgency, before appealing to Manager Crab for backup. The squid's plea unexpectedly gives the imposing crab a brilliant, world-shaking idea. The crab reveals his idea, offering the maid a free designer outfit from the Chamber of Commerce. The squid fumes in silent rage, wondering if the crab is intentionally wasting their precious time. Just as he feared, their urgent mission is delayed for half a day by an impromptu shopping trip. They finally arrive at the Coral Reef Bund, with only 6.5 days left before the trial. Perched on his partner's new hat, the squid carefully surveys the chaotic landscape. The maid quickly notices a group of shady fishmen watching them with suspicious intent. Before they can act, a grimy hand suddenly grabs the hem of her new skirt. The culprit is a lowly level 2 pufferfish beggar who is asking them for money. While she's furious about her new outfit being touched, the squid sees a perfect low-level target to start their grind. She unleashes a furious kick, sending the beggar flying for his audacity. The beggar tries a guilt trip mid-flight, claiming his aid should spare him from her wrath. Unfazed, she continues her relentless assault, determined to collect her first bit of experience. The pufferfish is swiftly defeated, his spirit floating away as he bemoans the lack of respect from the youth. They eagerly check the system window, using this first battle to gauge the area's leveling speed. A system notification displays their reward, a practically non-existent amount of experience. Both are stunned by the pitiful payout, feeling like they've been completely scammed. As the defeated beggar groans, the maid theorizes his low level is why the reward was so small. Their thoughts are interrupted by a young boy, the local Tang family's young master, who seems to know the beggar. The boy reveals the beggar is a known freeloader, who then shamelessly admits to his lazy scam. Shocked by the revelation, the duo listens as the beggar ironically paints them as the villains to the child. The young master steps forward, demanding to know why they are bothering the old beggar. His angry gaze is suddenly drawn to the maid's new outfit, where he recognizes the Baba Chamber of Commerce logo. The boy's expression instantly hardens, his friendly demeanor replaced by cold suspicion. Deciding to retreat, he tells the beggar to forget it and prepares to lead him away. The squid observes his partner, musing that an Atlantean in the wilds is unusual, and that she must be more than she seems. As the boy turns to leave, he collides hard with a massive, unseen figure. He looks up in terror at a hulking, monstrous silhouette with menacing, glowing red eyes. The figure is revealed to be Montesquieu, a level 15 great white shark, who angrily calls the boy out. His intimidating crew appears, consisting of a bull shark and 2 dog sharks. The boy and the beggar are horrified, recognizing the notorious 4 gangsters of the Bund. Montesquieu sizes up the boy, his greedy eyes locking onto the potential for a hefty payday from the rich Atlantean. Seeing his chance to escape, the cowardly beggar bolts, leaving the boy to face the gangsters alone. Annoyed by the beggar's swift escape, the maid scoffs while the squid marvels at the old freeloader's speed. The squid urges his partner to hide, secretly hoping the confrontation erupts into the chaotic brawl he's been waiting for. Realizing his partner isn't hiding, the squid grows anxious, suspecting she might be planning to intervene. Her competitive spirit flares up, not out of heroism, but because the thugs are ignoring her, making her question her own charm. Just then, the shark gang's attention shifts, and their predatory gazes land on the maid. With their cover blown, the squid declares there's no retreat and tells his partner to prepare for a combined attack. He turns to his partner, ready for battle, only to be completely baffled by her unexpected pose. She strikes a dramatic pose, lamenting her burdensome beauty and playfully telling the thugs to settle their dispute at a dance studio. The squid finally snaps, berating his partner for her constant dramatic act. Her bizarre display leaves the shark gang utterly baffled, prompting one to step forward to handle the situation. Suddenly, a loud, sharp sound echoes through the street, interrupting the standoff. The unexpected noise startles everyone, with the maid mistaking it for a gunshot. An unknown figure suddenly appears, standing protectively in front of the fallen maid. The figure is revealed to be a level 19 mantis shrimp, Tang Yi, who fiercely demands they release his young mistress. Time seems to freeze as the mantis shrimp positions himself between the maid and the intimidating shark gang. The shark gangsters erupt in laughter, mocking the small shrimp for his bold interference. The hammerhead shark confidently taunts the shrimp, challenging him to see just how impolite he can be. In response, the mantis shrimp unleashes a devastating punch, smashing his gauntlet into the hammerhead's face. The hammerhead shark is sent spiraling through the water from the sheer force of the blow. His crew stares in utter disbelief as their companion lies unconscious on the street. The squid realizes the gunshot was the shrimp's punch, a strike far exceeding his known abilities. Even the mantis shrimp seems to question his own immense power, wondering if it's possible for his level. As the remaining sharks check on their fallen comrade, the young boy joyfully recognizes his protector. From a nearby building, onlookers gossip about the shark gang's foolishness and the newcomer's ignorance. A concerned citizen urgently warns the maid and squid to flee before they get involved. The helpful fishman identifies the combatants, revealing the boy and shrimp are rumored to be fallen nobles. Another local clarifies that the boy is actually Tang Ren, the young mistress of the Tang sect, and Tang Yi is her fiercely loyal guardian. The mantis shrimp stands protectively before his mistress, who assures him she is unharmed. Enraged, the remaining sharks vow to seal the shrimp's fate for his insolence. With a unified roar, the 3 gangsters lunge forward to overwhelm the lone protector. Unfazed, the mantis shrimp calmly prepares to unleash one of his ultimate techniques. He unleashes a blindingly fast barrage of punches, firing off powerful projectiles of pure force. The devastating strikes slam into the charging sharks, stopping their assault dead in its tracks. In an instant, the entire shark gang lies twitching on the street, completely neutralized. The maid and squid watch in awe as the shrimp and his mistress casually walk away from the carnage. The squid realizes the bullets were actually concussive air pressure from the shrimp's impossibly fast punches. He notes the shrimp's speed surpasses even the legendary one-punch fish, all without using his full power. Snapping back to reality, the maid angrily reminds her partner they missed their chance to steal the kill. The defeated shark gang limps away, grumbling about their terrible luck. The maid, however, sees an opportunity, vowing to chase them down and claim their loot. Suddenly, the squid freezes, sensing a new menacing presence lurking in the shadows. He whips around in alarm, but the mysterious figure has already vanished from sight. His partner questions his sudden hesitation, urging him to get a move on. The squid realizes they're being tailed, ruling out the Chamber of Commerce and suspecting a different pursuer. He suspects a mysterious, armored figure is lurking nearby, likely another rival aiming to steal their prize. Losing her patience, the maid shakes her partner, demanding to know what's going on. He urgently tells her to follow the shark gang without question, his sudden seriousness catching her off guard. As they give chase, the squid decides to play dumb, hoping to keep his mysterious stalker unaware that they've been spotted. The mysterious armored figure smirks from the shadows, confident that his target is completely oblivious. The situation is a complex chain of pursuit, with the armored figure tailing the squid who is tailing the sharks. The squid assesses the weakened sharks, certain he can defeat them, yet something holds him back. He grows increasingly wary, feeling the persistent gaze of his own pursuer getting uncomfortably close. He imagines a scenario where he attacks the sharks, only to create an opening for his stalker. Realizing he's the prey in a larger hunt, the squid knows he must first shake his tail. His partner's voice cuts through his thoughts, urging him to stop dawdling as their targets disappear into an alley. With no time to waste, the maid grabs her partner and sprints after the gang. She expresses doubt about venturing into such a dangerous area, but the squid insists they have no other choice. From his hiding spot, the armored stalker watches them halt, wondering if his cover has been blown. The squid urgently whispers a plan to his confused partner, while their stalker grows more curious. As the duo darts away, the armored figure grins, excited that the chase is back on. The stalker is momentarily confused by a cloud of black ink left in their wake. The maid questions the squid's sudden ink spray, but he dismisses her and urges her forward. Realizing his cover is blown, the armored figure unleashes a ninja technique to rapidly close the distance. He reaffirms his mission from the Dragon Lord, determined to track his targets through the ink cloud. The ninja smirks, confident that no prey can ever escape his relentless pursuit. He compares his inescapable presence to a shadow, just as his foot lands on something soft and unpleasant. The ninja's confident expression shatters into one of pure, unadulterated horror. His stealthy pursuit is comically ruined by an unsuspecting local and their poorly timed bathroom break. The ninja's cool demeanor shatters as he realizes he stepped in something foul, revealing his crippling mysophobia. He stares in disgust at his ruined shoe, his mission completely derailed by the filth. An unimpressed local scolds the ninja for his dramatic reaction while he frantically tries to clean his boot. Furious at the squid for leading him into this mess, the ninja temporarily loses track of his prey. Peeking from a corner, the maid finally understands the squid's ink cloud was a brilliant, if unexpected, diversion. She then spots the sharks entering a building marked Liang Shark Harbor, confirming it's their hideout. The squid smirks at the name, mockingly predicting the gang's imminent demise. Fired up for the coming battle, the maid promises her partner a reward for their victory, and he eagerly accepts. Inside, the defeated sharks nurse their wounds in pride, vowing to get revenge for their humiliation. Their plotting is cut short as the squid dramatically kicks open the door, ready to crash their party. The startled sharks turn to face the intruder, demanding to know who dares to enter their hideout. The squid mockingly announces he's there to comfort them after their earlier humiliation. Infuriated by the taunt, the bull shark charges forward to attack the unwelcome guest. The squid casually blocks the furious assault with his multiple golden appendages. A single strike from the squid sends the bull shark flying, instantly defeating him and granting experience points. With a menacing grin and glowing red eyes, the squid prepares for the next phase of the fight. The remaining sharks, horrified and enraged, launch a desperate, coordinated attack on the intruder. Unfazed, the squid activates a new mode, enhancing his phantom limbs with the attributes of octopus tentacles. The hammerhead shark unleashes its own powerful technique, its body glowing with red energy. The squid's new power allows him to perceive every movement, effortlessly evading the hammerhead's attack with a confident smirk. The squid effortlessly parries the hammerhead's attack, unimpressed by his weapon. He swiftly disarms his opponent, claiming the spear for himself. The squid immediately turns the weapon on its former owner, unleashing a devastating spear technique. In a flash of light, the hammerhead is completely overwhelmed and sent flying. The defeated shark lies pinned to the ground by his own weapon, utterly incapacitated. The remaining shark leader watches in stunned silence as his subordinate falls. His shock quickly turns to pure fury over the loss of his crewmate. Blinded by rage, the leader lunges forward in a desperate attempt to bite the intruder. The squid casually sidesteps the attack, leaving the shark to bite nothing but air. He then mocks their foolishness, revealing he expected them to attack all at once. The furious shark leader lunges again, vowing to win even while injured. The squid casually intercepts the attack with a single golden fist to the jaw. He smirks, believing that such reckless opponents must be handled with force. A rapid barrage from his phantom limbs completely overwhelms the shark leader. The leader is sent flying out of the building as the last remaining shark watches in terror. Crashing into a wall, the leader is defeated, leaving his subordinate in stunned silence. The squid turns his menacing gaze to the final trembling member of the gang. Terrified, the small shark desperately tries to plead for his life, insisting he's done nothing wrong. The squid gives a condescending smile, clearly amused by the pathetic display of fear. Now weeping, the last shark makes a desperate, pitiful request for a gentle defeat. Ignoring the shark's desperate pleas, the squid unleashes a final decisive barrage. With the last shark down, a system notification confirms his complete victory over the gang. The entire gang now lies incapacitated, scattered across the floor of their hideout. The victory rewards him with a level up and significant boosts to his speed, strength, and techniques. Despite his defeat, the shark leader weakly vows revenge, only to be chided by his subordinate. The hammerhead joins in, promising to tear off the squid's limbs, fueled by his leader's encouragement. Overhearing their futile threats, the squid smirks, amused that they still think they have a chance. He recalls a special reward he received for a previous victory, an exclusive item for his sea god mode. The system screen displays the reward, a mysterious box-shaped golden finger item. Deciding the defeated sharks are perfect test subjects, he prepares to unleash his new power on them. He ponders the nature of his new power, the exclusive golden finger of the Wisdom King. With a confident smirk, he activates the ability, pointing a single glowing finger at his defeated foes. The smallest shark is the first to be struck by the golden energy, his eyes wide with shock. The squid recalls this special ability was a reward for defeating the formidable Dragon King crocodile. A flashback confirms the reward came from a cross-division challenge, marking it as a significant prize. The system reveals the golden finger is a mental control technique meant to turn his enemies into puppets. Despite the overwhelming power, the defeated hammerhead shark seems to be resisting the mental takeover. The squid's confident expression falters as he senses an unexpected development from his targets. His eyes widen in disbelief, shocked that the incapacitated sharks could possibly fight back. To his astonishment, the sharks rise together, empowered by a strange watery aura and wielding a mysterious red weapon. The shark leader rallies his crew, realizing they must fight for their very survival. A system notification announces the activation of an ancient god relic, engulfing the sharks in red light. The individual sharks begin to merge, their forms dissolving into a single massive silhouette of red energy. This new entity takes on a powerful muscular shape, radiating immense power as the fusion continues. The transformation completes, revealing a colossal armored shark, dubbed the Gundam shark by the system. The squid is utterly baffled, questioning the existence of a mecha fusion ability and why it wasn't used sooner. His system reveals information about ancient god relics, powerful items of varying grades hidden throughout the sea. Now dwarfed by his opponent, the squid stares up at the towering mecha shark, ready for the next round. He speculates that the sharks only use this power out of desperation, aware of its significant costs and restrictions. The system identifies the relic as a purple-grade specter of giant, which grants a mechanical transformation and a massive combat buff. The system confirms the fusion has created a level 50+ mechanical monster by combining the 4 sharks. The Gundam shark brings its massive weapon down, but the squid narrowly dodges the explosive impact. He quickly deduces that the red fork is the key item powering this transformation. With a command, his phantom limbs surge forward to seize the relic from the giant's grasp. But the colossal shark easily yanks the weapon away, foiling his attempt to disarm it. The Gundam shark retaliates with a devastating swing, smashing a nearby container to pieces. It then reveals a hidden cannon in its mouth, firing a powerful projectile at the squid. The squid grits his teeth, realizing the creature's strength and defense are on another level. He watches cautiously as the giant shark suddenly stops moving, wondering what it's planning. To his horror, he sees beams of red energy converging inside its cannon mouth, charging a massive blast. The Gundam shark unleashes its charged energy beam, forcing the squid to block the immense blast head-on. Realizing the power gap is too wide and his golden finger is useless in combat, he contemplates a strategic retreat. Suddenly, his heightened senses flare up, alerting him to another presence nearby. A bead of sweat rolls down his face as he turns, sensing the arrival of an unexpected foe. Outside, a mysterious samurai warrior has already tracked him down, much to his disbelief. He now understands the worst-case scenario has come to pass. He's trapped between the giant shark and a new enemy. The reflection in a nearby window reveals the samurai assassin, armed and ready to strike. Through the glass, he sees the new opponent poised in a combat stance, prepared for an ambush. A flashback reveals the samurai had been lurking outside the building just moments before. The samurai, having just changed his footwear, fumes about being led into what he believes is a despicable trap. The samurai warrior seethes with rage, his glowing red eyes fixed on his target's location. He activates his ninja art trace tracking skill, following the squid's trail to the abandoned building. With a menacing glare, his tracking technique confirms he has finally cornered his prey. Peering into a window's reflection, he gets his first glimpse of the battle unfolding inside. He recognizes the squid's sea god mode and smirks, seeing the tough fight as a golden opportunity. A system panel reveals he obtained intel on the squid's abilities from the defeated Dragon King Crocodile. The samurai, a ninja turtle, prepares his ultimate move, gathering water energy around a shuriken. He unleashes his 10,000 cages turbulent flow, a technique designed to trap and immobilize his foe. The squid's senses scream a warning as the deadly water-infused shuriken cuts through the air toward him. Deploying his squid-sensing and flexible tentacles, he makes a last-second catch, narrowly stopping the projectile. The squid glares, realizing the ambush is a deadly diversion while the Gundam shark still looms. With a swift hand gesture, the samurai turtle remotely detonates his hidden trap. The shuriken explodes in the squid's grasp, unleashing a violent torrent of water. He's instantly paralyzed, caught in a swirling vortex that seals his every movement. He curses his mistake, realizing that catching the projectile was the trigger for the trap. Trapped and helpless, he can only watch as the Gundam shark prepares the finishing blow. He grits his teeth in a final desperate act of defiance against his impending doom. The colossal shark unleashes a devastating beam of pure energy directly at its trapped target. He is completely consumed by the blast, his form contorted in agony as he faces annihilation. A system alert declares Host 1 is dying, prompting an emergency switch to a mysterious Host number 2. As the smoke from the blast clears, the Gundam shark's relic lies on the ground, its power seemingly expended. The colossal mecha is gone, replaced by one of the original sharks, who looks around in utter confusion. Peering through the window, the samurai turtle believes his target is finished and prepares to report his success. Suddenly, a massive pink tentacle erupts from the smoke, blindsiding the turtle and wrapping around his face. Simultaneously, another powerful tentacle seizes the bewildered shark, choking him with immense force. The dust settles to reveal the squid, not defeated, but transformed into a larger, more menacing entity. A close-up on its new form reveals glowing red eyes, radiating a cold and unfamiliar aura. The system announces a critical change as a mysterious Host number 2 assumes control. The original host spirit helplessly observes his own massive tentacles pinning down the shark, shocked by their size. He panics, realizing his body is moving on its own, completely out of his command. The massive tentacle tightens its grip, crushing the helpless shark with overwhelming force. With a single brutal slam, the new squid form smashes the shark into the ground, shattering the floor. A system notification confirms the Gundam shark has been successfully eliminated by the second host. The original host spirit recalls the system's mention of a second host as a red orb emerges from the wreckage. He looks up in shock to see a mysterious pink-haired woman piloting his body from a high-tech cockpit. The new pilot, the second host, reveals her identity as the contractor controlling his sea beast entwinement mode. The original host spirit is left utterly flabbergasted by this sudden and bizarre revelation. She clarifies that while his body transforms into a monster, she is the one in complete command. The second host smirks, enjoying her newfound power as the original host tries to warn her about the ninja turtle. Ignoring his silent plea, she turns her attention to the trapped samurai, preparing to finish him off. Just as the tentacle strikes, the samurai turtle uses a substitution jutsu, leaving a log in his place. The new host looks up, spotting the turtle's shadow leaping away to safety. Seizing the opening, the Ninja Turtle retaliates with a powerful kick to the squid's flank. The unexpected blow sends shockwaves through the cockpit, triggering multiple system warnings for the second host. The original host's spirit cries out, discovering that he still feels all the pain inflicted on his body. Annoyed by the shared pain, the second host glares with determination, preparing a new strategy. She furiously grips her controls, channeling her frustration into the squid's next move. The massive squid form unleashes a whirlwind of tentacles, attempting to ensnare the nimble foe. The turtle effortlessly evades the barrage, his silhouette a blur against the dim light. The squid's attack ends in failure, smashing the ground as its opponent disappears from sight. The second host glares in frustration, while the turtle sees her massive size as a tactical advantage. He easily dodges another clumsy tentacle strike, zipping through the air with incredible speed. The original host's spirit frantically reminds the pilot about the forgotten squid-sensing ability. The second host finally activates the skill, which manifests as a radar display inside her cockpit. The radar screen fills with multiple dots, leading the original host to believe they are completely surrounded. The pilot quickly dismisses this idea, realizing the dots don't represent multiple enemies. She understands the truth. The radar is tracking a single opponent moving at an unbelievable speed. Blue energy trails crisscross the room, visualizing the turtle's rapid movements around the stationary squid. The Ninja Turtle smirks with confidence, effortlessly running circles around his giant, lumbering foe. Finding his opening, he hurls a glowing projectile straight at the squid's exposed torso. The projectile leaves a surprisingly small gash on the squid's massive body. Landing gracefully, the samurai turtle stands ready for his next move, unimpressed by his foe's size. His eyes glow with purple energy as he unleashes his true, relentless assault. The giant squid is suddenly bombarded from all sides by a storm of unseen, piercing attacks. The second host watches in horror as she finally understands the turtle's terrifying strategy. She realizes he's not fighting a monster. He's treating them like a video game boss to be slowly ground down. His plan is to chip away at their health with countless small hits before delivering the final blow. From the cockpit, they see the turtle's eye gleam, confirming his cold and calculated approach. The original host's spirit panics, desperately suggesting they deactivate the monster mode to escape. He quickly realizes their predicament is hopeless. The turtle's speed makes them powerless in any form. The original host's spirit suddenly quizzes the pilot on common gaming mistakes, leaving her completely baffled. In a flash, the colossal squid monster reverts to its tiny original form. The Ninja Turtle halts his assault, surprised to see his giant foe suddenly shrink. He smirks confidently, believing his opponent is on its last legs and nearly defeated. The small squid hovers in the air, its tentacles coiling defensively in a strange new posture. He deduces that the creature is guarding a specific tentacle, correctly identifying it as the weak point. Believing he's found the key, the turtle launches himself from the rafters for a decisive strike. But to their shock, two tentacles snap up with incredible speed, perfectly parrying the turtle's attack. The ninja retaliates with a flurry of projectiles, only to see them all deflected by the nimble tentacles. He finally gets his hands on the target tentacle, grinning as his grip causes its armor to crack. The turtle's triumphant grin vanishes as he realizes his hand is now trapped by the very tentacle he tried to break. The original host spirit reveals their true plan. The Sea Beast mode has supercharged the tentacle's muscles, turning it into an inescapable vice. Laughing with glee, the second host confirms their trap has been sprung, reveling in her successful counter-strategy. The once confident Ninja Turtle now struggles desperately, his strength no match for the squid's crushing grip. With its prey secured, the squid unleashes a flurry of tentacles, completely ensnaring the helpless turtle. The original host spirit smugly reminds the pilot that his tactical genius was the key to their victory. She brushes off his boasting, declaring that the only thing that matters is that their enemy has been defeated. The defeated turtle lies broken on the ground, overshadowed by the triumphant silhouette of his captor. With the battle won, the pilot and the squid spirit eagerly anticipate the generous system rewards for their double victory. A system notification showers them with rewards, including a massive experience boost, a new skill, and a 10-level jump. The original host spirit happily concludes that the huge rewards were well worth the pain of the battle. The pilot patronizingly praises the squid's efforts, causing him to react with annoyance. She inspects the newly acquired ancient god relic, commenting on its durability and her eventual claim over the squid's life. The squid angrily brandishes a fork, accusing her of jealousy, while she calmly asks about their next move. The squid spirit explains that despite unlocking the information book, it provides very little detail about the ancient relic. They agree their next step is to gather more intelligence on the relic, as understanding their enemy is the only way to strategize. As a massive crab-like claw looms nearby, the squid spirit suddenly realizes who might have the information they need. Their search leads them to a city street, where they covertly observe a young, seemingly ordinary boy. The squid looks around their observation post, questioning where the mantis shrimp they were tracking has disappeared to. He reveals their new strategy: befriend the boy to learn secrets from his servants, all while they recover their diminished strength. The pilot scoffs at their stealthy approach, confident her charm alone can win over the boy. On the street below, the young boy suddenly feels a chill, sensing an ominous presence nearby. She attempts a friendly introduction, but her terrifying smile and glowing eyes only horrify the child. The boy flinches in terror as she reaches out, her friendly gesture looking more like a threat. Panicked, the child screams and bolts down the street, trying to escape the creepy duo. The pilot is utterly baffled by his retreat, completely oblivious to how menacing she appears. His desperate escape is cut short as he runs straight into a dead-end alley, trapping himself. Cornered, the boy bravely declares he won't give them any information, no matter what they do. She grabs his arm to stop him from fleeing, insisting he just listen to what they have to say. An unseen force suddenly strikes the ground between them, forcing the pilot to release her grip. A fierce mantis shrimp warrior suddenly appears, warning the duo to stay away from his young master. The pilot frantically tries to explain it's all a misunderstanding, but the boy has already fled behind his new protector. Stunned, she looks down at the spiky projectile that narrowly missed her foot, a clear warning shot. Her patience finally snaps as she furiously demands they just listen to what she has to say. The mantis shrimp guardian stands firm, declaring that no one from their notorious organization can be trusted. Her friendly facade drops, warning the guardian that her patience has run out and things are about to get rough. She tries to lunge forward, ready for a fight, but is suddenly held back by her squid companion. The squid spirit reminds her that they're both still recovering from their last battle and are in no condition for another fight. Her rage instantly deflates as she looks down, finally remembering her partner's current weakness. With a condescending smirk, she pats his head and calls him a weakling, while he advises her to focus on their grander goals. The pilot wonders aloud how they can proceed when their targets won't listen, and violence is off the table. Her companion realizes their new foes harbor a deep-seated resentment for their old organization, the Baba Chamber. The mantis shrimp guardian issues a final threatening warning, telling them to leave or face the consequences. Seeing an opening, the pilot's expression shifts from frustration to cunning as a new plan takes shape. She dramatically collapses, tearfully claiming they are also victims who hate the Baba Chamber just as much. The boy and his protector watch on, completely baffled by the duo's bizarre and theatrical display. Continuing her performance, she weaves a story about being forced into the organization with no other choice. The squid spirit chimes in, lamenting their weakness against the mighty Baba Chamber. The mantis shrimp guardian remains unimpressed, questioning what their supposed plight has to do with him. The squid reveals their true goal. They need information on the ancient relics to finally break free from the Baba Chamber's control. She grabs the young boy's arm, desperately pleading for his help to sell her act. The mantis shrimp guardian pulls his master away, urging him to ignore their nonsense. Annoyed, the pilot realizes her tearful performance was a complete waste of effort. The squid suggests returning to the Baba Chamber, but she reminds him that information there comes at a steep price. She illustrates their poverty by transforming into a ragged child, emphasizing their need for free intel. With a confident smirk, she decides that if the soft approach failed, it's time to get tough. The next day, the duo resumes their mission, secretly stalking the boy from behind a corner. The boy suddenly stops, a chill running down his spine as he senses he's being followed again. Abandoning all subtlety, the pilot lunges forward and snatches the boy up in a large sack. The boy's face contorts in pure terror as he's unceremoniously abducted. With the boy successfully bagged, the pilot smugly declares her mission accomplished. She slings the sack over her shoulder, wishing she'd used this direct method sooner as her partner urges a quick escape. Their escape is cut short as the furious mantis shrimp guardian appears, having caught them red-handed. The duo freezes, a nervous sweat breaking out as they realize they've been discovered. The guardian readies his weapon. His suspicions confirm that they were indeed after his young master. The pilot glares at her partner, sarcastically blaming his bad timing for their current predicament. With no other options, she panics and makes a desperate run for it with the captive in tow. While fleeing, she suddenly notices that her captured prize feels suspiciously light. A quick peek inside the sack reveals her horror. Their target has vanished completely. The boy, now free and armed with a knife, is told by his guardian to get to safety before the real fight begins. The pilot realizes their furious opponent is spoiling for a fight. Her companion agrees, deciding they have no choice but to retaliate. The squid transforms into his powerful humanoid form to face the guardian, who vows to make them pay. A system prompt identifies the mantis shrimp as a formidable ancient god relic, the divine revolver. This relic grants its user a massive, stackable attack buff, multiplying their power. The squid's companion is shocked as his defense is instantly shattered by the guardian's overwhelming strength. Refusing to admit defeat, he proudly declares he can handle the fight on his own. His bravado is short-lived as he's immediately overpowered and thrown back by the guardian's relentless assault. The pilot scolds him for his foolish pride, and the battered squid finally concedes, letting her take over. The victorious guardian warns them that this beating is a lesson to never target his young master again. The mantis shrimp guardian is suddenly caught off guard by a new, overwhelming presence. He looks up in shock as the pilot reveals her own colossal ancient god relic form. The young boy and his protector can only stare in stunned silence at this unbelievable transformation. Now in a maid outfit, the pilot mockingly challenges her opponent, revealing she is also a powerful relic. The guardian bravely charges forward, but his attack is useless against her immense size and power. He is effortlessly swatted away, sent flying helplessly through the air. A devastating kick from the pilot's relic form slams into the ground with fiery force. The boy rushes to his guardian's side, finding him defeated and lying in a crater. The victorious pilot and her companion loom over the terrified boy, their mission back on track. Cradling his fallen protector, the boy tearfully tries to put on a brave face against his captors. The boy stands his ground, confused by his defeated opponent's sudden stillness. In a shocking turn, the pilot and her partner drop to their knees, bowing in complete submission. She looks up with a desperate, tear-filled plea, begging the boy for his assistance. The boy cautiously asks their intentions, while his guardian warns him it's likely another trick. The pilot claims their aggressive actions were only a last resort to secure their own survival. Her words seem to give the boy pause as he silently considers their unexpected proposal. The ever-vigilant guardian frantically warns his master not to fall for their deceptive words. A shared, cunning glance between the duo reveals their plea is just another calculated performance. She begins weaving a tragic tale of being blackmailed by the Baba Chamber after offending a powerful noble. They embrace in a theatrical display of despair, lamenting the miserable life they're forced to lead. The boy expresses his powerlessness, claiming the Baba Chamber is too overwhelming for him to oppose. Undeterred, the pilot insists that he is the only one who can truly aid their cause. She reveals they know of his past as a noble, believing his knowledge is their key to survival. His curiosity piqued, the boy cautiously asks what kind of help they require. From the sidelines, the wounded guardian desperately tries to intervene and warn his master. The squid companion swiftly moves to silence the guardian, preventing him from ruining their performance. The pilot continues her fabricated tale, claiming their ignorance as newcomers led them to offend powerful figures. The boy remains skeptical, questioning if their motives are truly as simple as they claim. She adds a final, tearful touch, saying they want to learn about relics to escape their forced servitude. Completely won over by her act, the boy offers his sleeve and agrees to help them. The pilot is ecstatic, her face beaming with joy as she confirms his agreement. Her celebration is cut short by an awkward silence as the boy stares her down. She graciously thanks her new ally, only for the boy to calmly reveal he is male. The pilot freezes in shock at the news, while her companion wryly notes that the cutest ones are always boys. The guardian furiously scolds his master for his naivety, questioning how he could trust their enemies. The boy simply smiles, reassuring his protector that the enemy of their enemy can be a friend. His expression then hardens as he reveals that his help comes with one condition. The pilot and her companion are taken aback, not expecting their target to negotiate terms. The boy confidently states that nothing is free, giving them the option to walk away from his deal. The duo's faces fall as they realize their plan for free information has failed, admitting the boy is smarter than he looks. The pilot confidently prompts the boy to reveal his terms. He lays out his simple condition, a promise of their aid whenever he might need it. The duo is visibly relieved, underestimating the weight of his seemingly simple request. The squid companion rushes to accept the deal, but the pilot quickly intervenes. She swiftly gags her partner, preventing him from making a rash promise. The squid struggles, accusing his pilot of constantly trying to get rid of him. The pilot furiously berates her companion for agreeing to the terms without her permission. She lectures him on the potential dangers of his hasty decision, calling him out for his recklessness. The squid calmly interjects, asking her to hear his full explanation first. She threatens him with a sinister grin, but he slyly points out a loophole in their potential agreement. The pilot furiously lectures her partner on the importance of credibility, but he argues she's not letting him finish. He explains they can offer minimal assistance and still technically keep their promise, exploiting the vagueness of the deal. The pilot questions the ethics of their plan, but her companion argues it's a fair trade for simple information. Convinced by his logic, the pilot praises her partner's cleverness, and he smugly accepts the compliment. Meanwhile, the Guardian questions his master's decision, wondering what use these two could possibly be. The boy confidently explains that his intuition tells him the duo is destined for greatness. He reminds his guardian that the Tang family's instincts are famously reliable, earning his protector's trust. Having reached an agreement, the duo turns back to the boy and formally accepts his condition. Satisfied with the outcome, the boy instructs his guardian to share all his knowledge about the ancient relics. The loyal guardian acknowledges his master's command, ready to uphold their end of the bargain. The guardian begins by recounting the ancient legend of a cataclysmic battle between the sea god and the merman king. He explains that after their mutual demise, a mysterious tower rose from the depths, dividing the sea into layers. The coveted ancient god relics, he reveals, are scattered only throughout the first 10 layers of this tower. Ferocious monsters are said to guard these powerful artifacts, requiring challengers to defeat them for ownership. A myth persists that the ultimate relics granting control over the sea lie on the tower's final floor. The Guardian finishes his story, admitting that no one has ever confirmed the legend, as none have reached the top. The pilot reflects on this new information, understanding that her quest for relics will be incredibly perilous. The boy asks if they intend to join the upcoming tower trials, and the small Guardian enthusiastically confirms their participation. He then cleverly asks if the duo is familiar with the rules of the tower trial. The pilot and her companion look up expectantly, pleading for the boy to share his wisdom. The pilot and her companion adopt a comically eager pose, ready to absorb his every word. The boy questions their recklessness, wondering why they would risk their lives entering the tower so blindly. She immediately switches to a dramatic, tearful performance, claiming this is their only chance at survival. The boy, seemingly moved, reassures her that he only asked because he was prepared to explain everything. Her tears vanish in an instant as she winks flirtatiously, now ready to hear what he has to say. The boy and his guardian stare in disbelief at her rapid mood swing, with the guardian noting her incredible acting skills. Her squid companion chimes in, impressed by her performance and suggesting she'd be a star actress. The pilot feigns modesty, acting shy and flattered by the praise for her theatrical talents. The entire group, including her own partner, looks utterly exhausted by her dramatic antics. The boy clears his throat, attempting to steer the conversation back to the important matter of the tower trials. The pilot and her partner sit attentively, announcing their readiness for his lesson. The boy begins, explaining that the path to the final arena is treacherous and filled with peril. The pilot questions this, believing they would be sent directly to the arena, but he reveals the tower is a giant maze. He clarifies that while there are many paths, all of them eventually converge at the tower's center where the arena awaits. He reveals they can find temporary, weakened versions of the ancient relics within the tower's first 10 floors. A digital silhouette illustrates how a person's very essence is logged into the tower's system. He warns that many challengers die trying to acquire these temporary relics before even reaching the arena. The boy adds a grim detail. Competitors can eliminate each other without consequence, turning the maze into a free-for-all. The pilot's expression hardens as she understands that entering unprepared would have been a fatal mistake. He provides one last critical tip: a safety protocol to escape the tower if they are about to be defeated. The pilot proudly declares that surrender is out of the question for them. Having shared all he knows, the boy wishes them luck in the upcoming trials. The pilot sincerely thanks him for the crucial information and reaffirms their promise. The boy smiles warmly, letting them know he trusts their word. As the boy and his guardian depart, the pilot wonders what their next move is. Her squid companion begins to ponder their options but is quickly interrupted. He excitedly suggests they take advantage of their new connections and go on a shopping spree. The duo eagerly heads towards an elevator, ready to enjoy the perks of their new status. She daydreams about all the new clothes and jewelry she's about to acquire. Their shopping plans are cut short when they're met by an unimpressed guard holding a sign. The pilot sarcastically dismisses the guard, claiming they've already maxed out their level in the tower trials. Their bravado fades as they realize the guard's power level is far beyond their own, relieved he isn't hostile. A system window reveals their escort is a formidable level 99 crab, a stark reminder of their place. The stoic guard silently gestures for the duo to follow him, their shopping trip officially canceled. As they're led away, the pilot wonders about their destination, while her partner suspects they're meeting someone called Uncle Ba. She grumbles in frustration, her dreams of a shopping spree now completely dashed. Her companion wisely suggests they should just cooperate for now and see where this leads. They arrive in an office where a man praises their rapid progress, noting they've reached level 20 in only 2 days. The duo immediately showers the man with flattery, crediting their success entirely to his supposed help. He cuts through the praise, reminding them that his help was an investment he expects a return on in the tower trials. The pilot boldly promises Uncle Ba that their strength guarantees they won't disappoint him. Her squid companion then chimes in with a sly smile, preparing to make a bold request. Uncle Ba looks intrigued, calmly inviting the companion to state his request. The companion immediately blames his partner, claiming her constant shopping has already depleted the funds they were given. He shamelessly asks to borrow more money, explaining that she's already eager for another shopping spree. Uncle Ba raises a valid point, wondering if lending them money is a waste if they can't even pass the first level. The companion smoothly argues their return is to showcase their strength and prove the investment is sound. Won over by their confidence, Uncle Ba laughs and agrees to lend them whatever they need. He smiles warmly, genuinely anticipating their performance in the upcoming trials. The squid companion gratefully thanks him, reaffirming their commitment to succeed. In a dimly lit room, a new menacing figure presides over a defeated subordinate lying on the floor. Another terrified underling kneels before his master, addressing him as his lord. The imposing lord questions his minion, seeking the whereabouts of the little squid responsible for the old turtle's defeat. The subordinate nervously reports that he witnessed the duo entering the Baba Chamber of Commerce. The lord erupts in fury, enraged that the squid and the crab have aligned with a rival faction. His terrified minion desperately tries to make himself invisible, hoping to escape his master's explosive anger. The lord swears a mighty oath of vengeance, only for his subordinate to point out a minor flaw in his dramatic threat.